Hey guys, welcome to Deepwater Legends. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we have a special guest, Captain Rick from SeaSuite Charters in Port Canaveral, Florida. Welcome to the show, Captain Rick. How are you doing tonight?
Aloha, Nate. Aloha, Troy. Good to be here. Thank you kindly.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. I know you guys have been killing it lately down there. You want to tell us a little bit about your charter?
Oh, shoot. I guess I have the privilege of running a 45-foot hat. She's just a battle wagon of a fishing machine. And of course, she's comfortable with the AC and everything, but it's a privilege to run her. Grateful and thankful for my crew and really just love helping people have a great experience on the water. It's a privilege to do this.
Well, we can certainly tell that your clients are loving it. Every video that we see your charter posting up, everybody couldn't be smiling more. And it looks like an awesome time. Before we get into it, I want to thank our sponsor, Magic Tail Outfitters. They make the finest fishing tackle in the land. Dante up there is a fishing legend and he is outstanding. I also want to quick mention that we have a giveaway. All you have to do is like our YouTube channel, and our next episode, next Thursday, we will be choosing someone to get these two daisy chains, this 1 ounce Who Magic, and a 2 ounce Joe Shoot, and
The
a
good
five and
stuff.
three quarter ounce Joe Shoot. And these are exactly what we use down here, and we absolutely slay fish with them. I'm sure you will too. Like I said, just like the YouTube channel, we will pick somebody and announce them next week. So we'll get right into it, Rick. What is your favorite fish to target down there in Florida?
I love Wahoo. Just absolutely love Wahoo. I've always loved Wahoo fishing.
That's one of my favorites as well, and I love the video recently of your crew yelling "Wahoo!" And I think the 10,000 people that watched it also do. Tons of comments of people doing it too, and it's just hilarious.
What are you using to go and catch your wahoo?
I always run a string of DTXs, so a couple off the stern, one short, one a little longer, a 220 and a 200. I think that spread we had four ballyhoos skirted everything from with Joe shoots heads to maybe a naked in the spread. Um, Probably a daisy chain, a shotgun long, let it go, keep going. That probably had a ballyhoo on it as well.
And what kind of colors are you usually seeing your Wahoo on? I know up here we're getting a lot on darker colors, blacks, reds, pinks are really hot. Nomad makes a really good pink with glow and purple DTX 220. We use that all the time. Like I buy extras to back it up because you never know when they're going to stop running correctly and you got to change it out. And those lures are so good, honestly. I don't mind. Like even if it was one fish per lure, just keep the fish biting. I'll keep buying.
Yeah, I got six in the box as backups with 3 foot uh, section of mono, and yeah, because they just tow better, that way. But yeah, I've got plenty of those. Well, the darker colors, this one just happened to be on the long rigger starboard side long rigger, and it was out pretty long, but that was on an Islander pink and black and with a pretty good ballyhoo, just a single hook in the ballyhoo, and he ate that one. He had a whole lot of didn't have a whole lot of choices. The first thing he hung up on that one, and he just grabbed it, I guess, and sure enough it was a short hoo, but hey, not short. I mean, it fed everybody pretty well. God, I just love that meat. It's just the best eating stuff there is. I love to eat it raw, and any rate, it's a passion. I guess I get lost in all of this. It's so much fun, every bit of it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite fish to catch as well. We also use mono for our DTXs and rarely get bit off. One of my friends, Lance from Last Cast Charleston, turned me onto it a couple years ago. I was always, oh, it's got to be cable, it's got to be single strand steel. And he's like, no, I use a 100 to 150 pound mono, and it works excellent. Where I have found the most success, though, is I have special reels only for Wahoo trolling that are lined in braid with no top shot, and I just use a 4 foot piece of mono. And without the stretch, I've noticed that the bait just gets so much lower and it allows so many more bites and really is effective. And we rarely ever have any kind of bite offs. I can't even recall one on a DTX. Now, if you're running more of like a bait, like a Who Magic or a Joe Shoot or an Islander, then sometimes we see more bite offs because they get more teeth on the leader. But the nomads are usually so big. We're running the 200s, the 220s that the fish doesn't even touch the leader most of the time, and we just change out every time if we feel any kind of chafing or a nick on the line, and really keep it fresh and pop it right back into the spread.
Yeah, I think everything that we have, minus the DTXs, has wire on it. So everything that's going out in that spread has got wire on it. These fish are just so toothy, and they can really shred it up.
What's the biggest wahoo you guys have caught down there in Port Canaveral?
Down here is probably about a 70, probably 68, 70 pounder. It's about as big as I've seen. When I used to fish down in, shoot, man, when I when I used to fish down in Clarion, gosh, we'd see them 120, 130 pounds.
It's enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, up here, our general size fish is about 50 pounds, but they'll get as big as 100 and a little bit over, and you see guys catch them every year. We run about 50 miles out to get them most days. How far of a run do you guys have?
God, I got this run in my mind that I want to do, and it's really to go down, almost down just above Sebastian on that Ocalina bank and run it up. And it looks like, I plotted that course, and it looks like it's about 144 miles round trip. So 35 miles gets you to the west end of the Gulf Stream, if you will. And so if you're looking at that temperature break, that's where we're finding the fish, and, clean water. A lot of times at 180 feet of water, because it just doesn't get deep where we're at. You don't get that shelf until you're, 32 miles out. It drops to 250.
I'd kill for that short of a run, though. We're in 60 to 80 miles to get out to the fishing grounds here, so I'd
Yeah,
certainly be happy with a 32-mile run any day of the week.
copy that. Copy that.
So, what other kind of fish are you guys catching this time of year?
A lot of kingfish. Kingfish has really been the staple of this area. It seems like I can always find a kingfish somewhere hanging around.
And what's your go-to method when you're targeting kingfish down there? I know when we're doing them here, we're either using planers and Clark spoons, or we're using live bait with like kingfish rigs and bump trolling them over reefs. What method have you found effective?
Bump troll, and spinning minnows, Google eyes, or even a ballyhoo on a double treble setup with wire, dropping one on a down ball down to about 40, 45 feet, keeping one on the down ball, one long on the shotgun, and three on the stern. So you've got 5 lines, I guess, which is not doesn't sound like much, but once you get hooked up with a bunch of kingfish, it can be a zoo. But it's a lot of fun, and there's certainly some action. You see a lot of gosh, even doing that is kind of crazy. You even see red snappers, endangered as they say they are. They come up and eat that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we can't keep red snappers off some days. We'll go to
Yeah.
reefs and like we rename them in the plotter like Red Snapper Reef. We only get 2 days a year to keep one, but you go out there and some days it's all you can catch red snappers and big
Yeah.
ones too. It's insane. It's really mismanaged.
There's plenty to learn out here. I really want to do, you've been my go-to Mr. Miyagi for quite some time. I've really looked to you and called you up. Hey, what do you think about this spread? And, talked about running trackers, and you turned me on to Magic Tail, and it's been quite a ride. So I'm enjoying this East Coast fishery. It's been about 3 years now, and really just kind of, hate to say settling in, but really kind of finding our feet. People are kind, you build relationships over time, and I think you get what you are. Half the battle is you're building a business at the same time, and you're building relationships, family, if you will, on the water. And if you go to Port Canaveral and you say, I want to do a fishing charter, there's 125 to 150 charters. What makes you think you're going to build a business on that with that many people? And the truth is, um, and we don't see much of this, but I know that many of these smaller charter boats do. There's 8 million people that come through Port Canaveral just on cruise ships on an annual basis. I mean, it's the second largest cruising terminal in the world, next to Miami. And so there's a lot of people coming through, and it's really catered you know, to cruise ships. It's got a couple small fishery, the shrimp fishery and the kingfish fishery, and the few charter boats. There's a couple, small charter boat fleets. But for the most part, I've really made friends with the other captains. We communicate on the radio. We share knowledge. We share what's biting, what's not. It's actually been really refreshing.
Yeah, having a network is critically important to any fishery because not everyone can be out every day. And by having a network of guys, like you can really canvas the different areas and really pinpoint where it is. It just comes down to making a network of guys that are being truthful and not sending you to areas that like they haven't been and they're just curious if the fish are there and really just getting down to like getting actual information. I know we have a really strong network down here and everywhere we go and being able to reach out to guys and be like, hey, what are you seeing here? And if we see stuff and calling people on the radio and sharing intel really gets everybody in on a bite. It's a really big ocean. There's lots of fish, all kinds of different places, but there's also areas that don't hold fish at all. The old saying goes that 90% of the fish are in 10% of the area, and it's just locating that 10%.
Copy that. It's more like hunting than going to the grocery store.
And I know Florida has its own kind of challenges because the fishery is so close to land that like everyone in like pontoon boats and john boats and stuff can get out there. Like Troy and I have fished a significant amount of time out of Palm Beach, and like we'll be out there and there'll be like a guy in a flats boat with an 80 wide, and it's like, oh my gosh! And like the second that you hook up, you have 1,000 charter boats around you trying to fish the same area, and it's like, just get out of here. In with that in mind, I really don't mind the long runs because a lot of times we're out 100 miles plus and fishing areas that like you don't see people for hours and hours.
Yeah, it sounds like the fishing we used to do down in San Diego. You go into Mexico or San Clemente and uh, Catalina, and yeah, up into those areas. And gosh, I miss those 3-day runs. It taxes you. It takes it out of you when you run for 3 days. But pulling up 300-pound bluefin tuna, that's something to see. You get up on a big school and I see these videos. Gosh, these tuna junkies. I was watching those guys, and man, I'm going to have to get prepared, get my body prepared to go to battle. I mean, in reality, most of the time I'm driving the boat and setting people up for success. And I'm not in the cockpit fighting the fish. I drive the boat. I'm keeping that sucker in play, in motion, keeping a tight line on it and, preparing it to go down one side or the other. So the mate can get a good shot and the customers can have a good experience, whether it's a sailfish, a wahoo, a tuna, or even a bonita, I mean, it's all fun. Um, it's all fun. You turned me on to. I was fishing tuna, bluefin tuna, with big 3-foot spreader bars, and I still got them. I got them on the boat. Hoping one day I'm going to use them. I got probably 10 or 12 sets of spreader bars, and most of the ones you turned me on to, side trackers, they kick butt.
Yeah,
They really.
sidetrackers are just so effective, and you don't really see a lot of people running them down south. And everyone that sees us with them, and we tell them, we're like, look, like these things are super effective up north. They're super effective down south. And as soon as people try them, or they're on the boat with us and they try like a chatter sidetracker or a sterling sidetracker, like usually it's 1 or 2 trips after and you see that boat out there again. They got a couple sets as well, and they're like, yeah, we're using this stuff for sure. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt when you hook like like a sailfish or a marlin or something on it. But other than that, they're just so effective, especially with blackfin tuna, bonitas, mahi mahi. Like all those things just tear them up. Occasionally, a wahoo will come up to it, but I just pray that that's not the case on side tracker because I don't want to have to replace stingers. But other than that, like those things are just tremendous and a huge, huge asset to our spread. They easily produce 50% of our fish on every given day. Usually, our big fish comes from like a shotgun with like a Who Magic and a bird, but the majority of the fish come on side trackers. Usually in this area, it's pink ones. Glow is super hot. Up north are purple and blacks. You can't beat them. Zucchini is super good. But down here, pink, can't beat it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see a lot more mahi than I've seen. It'd be nice to see them really clustered up instead of, just one pop at a time.
Yeah, I think now that the water's warming up, they're starting to make their way north. You guys probably won't see them again until the fall. I know we're starting to get them here. Um, and then they ultimately make their way up the coast to New Jersey area and then start making their way back south. Um, the decline in mahi mahi is just insane. All these guys keeping peanuts and stuff. Um, they are the fastest fish in the ocean or fastest growing fish in the ocean. So hopefully they make a quick rebound. But we definitely need to do our due diligence, make sure they stick around because they are one of the most fun fish to catch. Just jumping
Yeah.
everywhere. They're fairly easy to find and a good fish for the general angler to get out there and get after if you have the range in your boat to get out. So I seen you guys have been killing the sailfish lately. What have you been getting them on?
That sailfish ate the short rigger. And so that was a brand new reel with 40-pound tests. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it was
that
a pretty big one. What did it measure in at?
87 inches.
That's a nice size fish for sure.
Yeah, the customer wanted it mounted.
That's awesome. Have you guys had any other notable catches recently?
Other than that, Wahoo, because you don't see too many of them, even especially this time of year. But I was kind of hovering that 168, 169 ledge, just hoping for that kind. It's kind of nice when you're actually specifically targeting, a species and you get lucky. And that's why I think it's just time on the water. Anytime you can, you pick up 12, 14 hours and work a fishery consistently. In our case, it's trolling and being patient, working that water, finding that temperature break, finding that weed line. And sometimes you go without seeing fish and guys get in a hurry to, zip up the boat and, journey off. And the ride in a Hatteras is so much different in a sport fish. And, yeah, we'll pick up and we'll move and run from time to time. It's such a comfortable ride than a center console. But I'm old school like that, and when I was a kid, I dreamed of having Hatteras, and so today I'm just living a dream.
What trips are you offering your clients currently right now? Are you offering 4-hour trips, 8-hour trips, 12-hour trips, overnight trips?
Yeah, it's in fact updating the website right now, and what seems to be popular is a 7 or an 8 hour just pure fishing trip. I'd do a full day, 3/4 day, try to do these half day trips. I'd put 3 hours of preparation into food and everything. And what I found is that, a lot of people, they'd just rather pay for skip the food. We'll make our own stuff, even though it's a wonderful compliment. A lot of people just love the sandwiches, love the breakfast, but there's a portion of people that just would save $300, get an extra hour, and go fishing. And it makes it easier for me, and it makes it easier for my crew. But at the same time, we still got all the sodas and all the waters and all the snacks and all that stuff out there. It's just not all the sandwiches and breakfasts and stuff. But I guess it's unique in that when people come aboard, I just really make them feel like it's their yacht and we're their crew, and we're just there to. So my mate Max, he's like, I'm your aqua butler. I'm like, What the hell? You know, he's the only kid that I know that's got a degree in adventure tourism. I mean, go get that stuff. I mean,
Next time we're out there, Troy, you're the Aqua Butler. The beer me Aqua Butler. So I'm going to address the red flag in the room. A lot of you guys might be wondering, what is that skunk flag? Well, my good friend Lance owns Fish Flags USA, and he came out with this awesome idea, and he makes all the different he owns Fish Flags USA, and he makes catch flags for any of your catches. If he doesn't have it listed on his website, fishflagsusa.com, reach out to him. He'll make you one in whatever kind of fish you want. If you want to hang a largemouth bass flag from your bass boat, he'll make it for you. And they put boat names on them and everything. Well, he came out with the idea to make these skunk flags that you can get your friends as gifts that for your friends that aren't that good of fishermen, or maybe they are good fishermen, you just want to bust their balls. It is a great idea. These flags are good quality. I love them. They're really good. We're going to have Lance on here in the next couple weeks. He also owns Trolling Mate, which is a product we use all the time to hold our nomads, our deep drop weights, Joe shoots, and Magic Tail Outfitters lures, and keep them from tangling up on the boat. We all know you pull in a fish, the leader's chafed or something, you just want to throw it in a bucket, but then you get home and you have 3 hours untangling stuff and getting hooks out, and they're rusty, and it's just a great way to hose them off and get them ready to go. So that's fishflagsusa.com. Those things are outstanding. Lance is a great guy. He also owns Last Cast Charleston. And I actually believe Rick has some of his flags or catch flags for customers. So a lot of you guys are doing bill fish tournaments, stuff like that. You want to come in, show everybody you caught, show everyone you release some fish, company to work with to get flags that are custom for your boat with your logo and all kinds of stuff. So, Rick, you were telling me that you had quite the adventures as a captain and on other boats prior to running your charter from Mexico. You said you did some really long range trips that were like 15 to 17 days. What was that like? Because that's an insane amount of time. I could not imagine pulling that off with my wife being like, hey, I'm going to be gone for half of a month to go fishing. I know I would come home to pure hell. What kind of guys did you see going on this boat? Was it mostly single dudes or guys that found out they were single when they came home? And what kind of stuff are you guys catching? Because that's just incredible and alarming at the same time. Like, did you guys have like people on the boat to like do official divorce paperwork and stuff? Like, hey, we'll catch your fish, we'll clean them, we'll also file your divorce while you're out here. Maybe a real estate agent help you find a new place to live. Is that how you got into real estate?
In fact, had more engine room duties than anything else. But the truth is yeah, you'd have like 15 people hooked up with sailfish all at the same time, and Wahoo jumping in the boat. You know, you'd get down by uh, Cedar's Island and all these places that I tuna fished, jackpole, old school jackpole fishing. That was the first boat that I really worked on,
And was it a charter or like a commercial boat?
no, commercial boat, 80-ton.
I thought it was a charter boat. I was gonna say,
I
like, if guys were going on 15 to 17-day trips on like a charter boat, that's insane.
That was a charter boat. That was the Polaris Supreme.
And you guys would stay at sea for that long, or would you hop into port?
No, 15 days out at sea.
You better have your sea legs for that one. Do you guys like vet the customers prior to coming on? Like, you sure you want to do this?
I have no idea what they did back then.
That'd be like an $8,000 trip right now.
That was a long time ago, Nathan.
That's awesome.
I hate to say it, but it was over 30 years ago.
You look like a fairly young guy, though, so fishing's been pretty easy on you. I'm over here aging like milk. You're aging like wine. Florida life must be good. Maybe I need shorter runs.
I just wake up every day and I go, I get to do this. It's a dream.
We've been the center console guys for a while here, and like we come back from a trip, we look 20 years older. We're like barely walking off the dock. Like some days I want to have a cane. I'm like walking with a limp for 3 days after a trip in 4-foot seas.
Yeah, I just love the adventure. Love getting offshore.
So do you have any funny charter stories? Usually when we have charter captains on here, we ask them like, hey, Do you have any funny stories from clients or anything? I know John Azzato was on here. He said he had a guy, his friend invited him on a trip, and it was a surprise overnighter. The guy thought they were coming back to the dock by 3, and they were coming back to the dock by 3 the next day. Have you ever had anything like that, or anybody
No,
coming out there and do anything ridiculous or
nope.
anything, or has it been smooth sailing so far?
Pretty smooth. Everything's pretty smooth. Grateful and thankful I get a really solid clientele. You know, I- the truth is I've turned people away or I've referred people. I don't think I'm gonna help you have the experience you're looking for, and I don't mind doing that. I'd much rather have folks that appreciate the service, the level of service that we offer, the level of professionalism that we offer. There's a lot of love and dedication that goes into this. There ain't nobody getting rich out here. Somebody might be making a living, but ain't nobody getting rich.
In tournament fishing, you can get rich. You just have to be good.
Okay, well, I've got plenty to learn from you, Nate. So you can just
Well, it's not me. Just keep using that magic
Mister
tail stuff.
Miyagi.
By the way, code Deepwater Legends, all capital letters, one word, 15% off your order of $50 or more. I also, we were looking at the podcast, and it is absolutely incredible the reach that we
Yeah.
have. We have so much support coming out of Middle America, of course, the coasts. We love all of our listeners and our viewers here. And it was really surprising how many people out of these middle America states are downloading our podcast. And we can't thank you guys enough. If you guys have the opportunity to get to a coast, or if you have questions about this kind of fishing, certainly don't hesitate to shoot me an email, deepwaterlegends@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. If you're looking to do a charter somewhere, let me know. I know lots of charter captains all over the United States and other countries. I'm happy to point you in the right direction to someone that's going to actually catch a bunch of fish and have a great time and make sure you're back to the dock safe and you have the experience you're looking for. Whether you're looking to go out on a center console and go 70 miles an hour and get out there roughing and toughing it and pounding the fish, or you're looking to go out on a boat like Rick's where you're chilling in the air conditioning watching TV, and then you get out there and you're wined and dined and catching fish. Either way, we know people that have the opportunities for you, and certainly don't ever hesitate to reach out. And same with our client or our listeners and viewers that are on the coast. If you have any questions about gear or your fishery or anything like that, shoot me an email, shoot me a message, find me on social media, and I'm happy to help you learn the skill because it's super important that we get people into fishing. I don't care if you've been fishing for 30 years or if it's your first season. The whole reason we're doing this show is to introduce you to professionals, find out what they're doing that's successful, and ultimately get you out there and catch more fish because nothing's more discouraging than people spending their time, spending their money, and going out and coming back with one of these flags when you can go out and really use the tools that are available and have a lot more success. And like I said, that's what drives Troy and I to do these shows, make our videos, and introduce you to these great guys because we all want people to catch more fish and be more involved and get the youth anglers involved because they're ultimately the people that are going to carry the sport on. Because if it dies out, then everyone loses their privileges to do it. And we need to make sure people are actively doing it and fighting for our ability to continue to do it because every year it seems like more fish are going on different lists and we're able to keep less and less, and people that like to eat fish and catch fish and go out there and do this, it's really important to us, and we just want to make sure we get as many people involved in the sport that want to be involved and catch as many fish as they possibly can. Nobody got into this to just go catch 1 million pounds of fish and not share it with anybody. I'm sure Rick feels the same way, where nothing makes him happier than seeing young anglers and people that have never done it get out there and really catch the fish of a lifetime or the fish of the trip. And it really brings a smile to everyone's face. So certainly don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Troy. We're happy to help you.
Yeah. So, Rick, this is a question that gets asked to a lot of our charter captains that come on. Do you use a Cedar plug at all?
I've got cedar plug daisy chains. I got cedar plugs. I never seem to pull it out. And I saw that last episode
Boo. He's the first one in
Let-
4 captains to say no. Boo.
in on the Pacific side, I would use a cedar plug, no doubt. I'd use it on this side, and I watched your episode with your guy there in Charleston with the black cedar plug, and and I thought, man, okay, dang it, I'm gonna have to get me a black cedar plug.
Yeah. I
I'm
was
gonna
on
have to
there.
get me a black cedar plug daisy chain, and so I was on Sterling's website. It was either Sterling's or Magic Tail's website looking for that daisy chain.
Yeah, Magic Tail doesn't sell any cedar plugs right now. I don't think he pulls them either. I was on Last Cast Charleston yesterday. We just went out to dinner with another friend that was down from New Jersey, and those guys were tempted to throw one out just in the bay. Those guys love cedar plugs, I swear. Like they'd pull a whole spread of them if they could.
Yeah, we always had one on the bait boat, uh, on the tuna bait boat, the commercial bait boat. We just always had one on a hand line out there.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't pulled a cedar plug in years, but after all this cedar plug talk, I did go out and buy more cedar plugs. I was gonna change this background to just a huge cedar plug background, and I'm sure you have guys in Middle America looking up like, where can I get my hands on a cedar plug? I'm gonna go pull it for largemouth bass, and I bet
Walleye.
it would work. Those
Bro.
things are effective.
It's just like when you turned me on to the Sterling sidetrackers, and I bought every single damn daisy chain I could. It's like you look in your toy box and you go, "Damn, I got that, I got that," and then you go, I watch Tuna Junkies and they're using no live bait, and I'm like, "Damn it, I don't have any no live bait. We're gonna have to get a box of that shit." Pardon my language, but it's like it's so you could never have enough reels, you can never have enough rods, you can never have enough. It's every dime that I make on this boat goes right back into her, and it's a man, it's a love and a passion. Like, man, I wake up and I look at that box, I get to do this. And
I'm the same way, like buying stuff that like I don't even really need or have plans to use. Like the other day, I got like another fly rod. I haven't even used the other one that I have. Like it's like, oh yeah, but what if I go for trout in up north? I have no plans of going up north for trout, but you know what? I have the rod in case I do. So, overall, out of all the fisheries that you've been to and experienced, what has been your favorite one to do? Do you prefer commercial fishing? Do you prefer charter fishing? East Coast, West Coast, Alaska, California? You've been all over. You've been one of our most traveled guests, probably other than Jimmy. Jimmy has been everywhere. Captain Jimmy, that guy, I mean, he's one traveling fool, man. And he's actually getting ready to head up to Alaska here in another 2 weeks to run Homer Halibut Hunters for another summer. And I know you spent some time up in Alaska. What do you think is your favorite fishery overall? If you had to pick one,
I really enjoyed commercial salmon fishing in Alaska, and I did both seine net and gill net. So we did, Naknek, Igigik, the gill net fishery, fished that for a few different years, and then salmon and herring, in a purseine net. And those were fun fisheries. You catch a bunch of fish and you get a big jag and you load the boat.
Were you doing bumper boats up there? I've seen some videos of that where they're just
Yeah, Bristol Bay.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
The
Bristol.
Russian Orthodox up there, man, they are just cursing and yelling at everyone, hitting boats and dropping their nets, and it looks stressful. I ain't gonna lie. That looks like a stressful job and does not look like fun fishing, but maybe that's what guys like, you know?
It's a young man's game, so that was what paid for the other half of my wife's wedding ring. In fact, I couldn't get a policy after that. I couldn't get a life insurance policy after that going commercial fishing in Alaska. What a joke. But anyway, it was a fun fishery. I think crab that's a hard man's life. We did cod for the same with the same work. Black cod pot fishing, just same as crab fishing. Herring, halibut, salmon, black cod. Yeah, tuna fishing down in Mexico. That was on a jack pole boat. I was the only white boy, and that the whole crew was out of Ensenada. And I spent a good 6, 8 months on that boat, and with getting off from port from time to time, but most of the time it was, fishing and unloading and fishing and unloading. And I became the chief after 3 trips. So
What were your average size fish with the jack pole? I see the videos of those, and it's just insane. I couldn't imagine the bite.
yeah, they called me Tibaron because I'd get it in the corner and I'd hook sharks every once in a while. It didn't like that. Tibaron, mal. Be like, what the hell? No, guess I screwed that one up. Yeah.
So, what size
Um,
fish were you guys usually
they
catching?
they were like 25 pound, 20 to 30 pound fish most of the time. Sometimes we'd get into 2 bullfish, rarely, where, the average size was 50 plus. Then you're going to, yeah, we'd see some 80, but most of the time, you're fishing that fringe and you're bringing them in with sardines. So you got a chummer on the back deck, just chumming them, bringing them in, and then you're slapping the water with that, making that noise. And they're just one after the other, boom, 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 boom. We loaded the boat one time. It literally sat on this freaking school of fish and loaded the boat, had to call a super seiner in and wrap us. We couldn't cool the fish down fast enough. That's how much fish we put on the boat. And the chummer would cut pieces of tuna and just rinse them in the bait box and throw us a chunk, and we'd sit there and chew on that chunk while we were still fishing, just kind of slow roll. After 8 hours of freaking boom, boom, boom. I mean, yeah, I don't think I was in any better shape in my life than I was fishing tuna back then. That was
I've been in some crazy schools of tuna, but never in anywhere I wanted to chew on a chunk of sardine. I know I
no,
was
it
out
was
with John.
tuna, bro.
Oh,
It was
okay. I thought you
tuna.
said the chummer was tossing you chunks of the sardines. You gotta clarify. Our listeners probably think like, man, this guy's an animal. He's chewing
Eating
chunks of
sardines.
sardines. Yeah, we get into some really big schools up there off of New Jersey, and I mean, I have some underwater footage where you can't even count the amount of tuna swimming past. Like, it's just insane. Like
I got to
thousands
come
and
up your
thousands
way.
of fish.
We got to book a trip. My son and
Anytime.
his best friend and I will come up, charter a boat, and we'll go.
I know
I'd
for
love to.
chunking yellowfin tuna is usually August, September, October is the super hot bite. I know early season is mostly trolling. They also have a huge population of big eyes out in the canyons and
You're
great
just
fishing for
you're
them then.
you're just telling me where we're going and when I'm going, and we're gonna book it on a calendar, and we're gonna freaking go, and who I'm going with, and I'm gonna go.
John Azzato, you're on notice. Yeah, it's a tremendous fishery out in New Jersey, and they just as terrible of a state as it is, they have such a good fishery. Like it's just unmatched. Like the giant bluefin will be up there in the next 2 weeks or so, and I mean maybe even sooner. It depends who's out there fishing for them. But they're getting those 10 miles off the beach, and then you go out to the canyons. That's where your yellowfin, your big eye, your marlin are. Mahi mahi, tilefish, everything. Our tilefish season out South Carolina unfortunately closed already. It opened January 1st, closed January 31st. Very few people were able to get out and get after them. But up north, you're allowed to keep like 8 per person per boat, or 8 per person. The fishery for them was just outstanding. If you've never tile fished, I highly recommend it. They're in pretty deep water. A lot of people use electric reels. I'm one of those people. A lot of people are like, I'll never use an electric reel in the hand crank. That's not for me. It's a lot of weight and a lot of line out, a lot of dropping and pulling back up. We do it with jigs and stuff as well, and it's super fun. But I just like doing it with electric reels. But as far as the tuna fishery, it's hard to find a place that matches. Like up north, like you go further north, you go New York, Massachusetts, outside of Cape Cod, the giant bluefin tuna fishery there is insane, but you have so much of a longer run to get out to get like yellowfins and stuff like that that it just New Jersey is a super hot spot. New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and that's why the white marlin is there as well. I know here we're about to get our marlin are in here now and going to be picking up soon following in the mahi mahi. So we're going to be getting after those the next trip or two. And we're excited to put a beating on some blue marlin.
that's a fishery I'd love to learn.
Yeah, I think Florida, you guys get some of them there, but I think it's mostly sailfish. I think they're out pretty deep. You'd probably have to go to the Gulf Stream to get those, if I'm not mistaken.
Copy that.
So, down in Florida, do you just do solely trolling, or do you, stop on the reefs and let your clients jig their heart out?
Yeah, it really depends on what the customer wants to experience. A lot of times, we're setting the expectations ahead of time, and we know what we're doing, which brings up a great, conversation point. We all want to put fish on the boat, and you want the customer to be able to do something. And I've been accused of this. It wouldn't be the first mate, to say, "Hey, man, you're going to pick a strategy and stick with it," because I'll stop and fish them on the bottom if I feel uh, like they're getting restless, you know. And it's just being able to read the room, if you will. And some people are just cool to troll for hours, not get a bite. They're cool, If you got a group that's, not getting bit and you got to mix it up, well, then I'm going to stop on the bottom and get with some action of some sort, Gosh, God forbid I couldn't catch a snapper somewhere, or not to.
Yeah.
But
And that's where charter fishing really differs from like what we do. Like we're out there and we'll pick the fish ahead of time. Like if we're going deep dropping swordfish, we're only taking the LP, we're only taking the other electric reels, and we'll take a couple spinners for doing some vertical jigging while we have some downtime. But we're not taking 20 rods, and we're not going to also troll or anything like that. Same if we're trolling, like the LP is going to be on there just for our dredge. We're not switching it like that because we're out there to get the fish, not many fish. But where charter fishing is different is it's like, hey, you have some clients that are going out and they just want to catch any fish. And then you have some clients that want to catch as many fish as they can. And then you have some clients that are like, look, I'm not happy unless I catch that 70-pound Wahoo. And I don't care if we come back with nothing as long as we're trying for that Wahoo. And if you
Yep.
go take them and drop for some amberjacks and do some vertical jigging, they're not going to be happy. And that's probably the hard part is trying to find out exactly where they are because not everyone needs to catch the same stuff. And I know me personally, like I don't care if I catch an amberjack or 27 groupers. Like I'm out there after like a marlin or a swordfish or a giant wahoo or tuna. Like I'm in it to win it, and I don't mind 100-mile trip out and coming back empty-handed as long as I know like we tried everything. We went to where the water was. We did exactly what we needed to do. But with charter fishing, you have people that have different expectations and they're like, "Hey, we came back with no fish. Like this guy might be a bad fisherman." When in reality, it's like, "Hey, like you either get them or you don't." Like so it definitely presents like an interesting like
well,
challenge and
there,
stuff with it.
there's a balance too. You've got a certain amount of time to do something in, and whether it's 6 hours or 8 hours, you got to plan, or 10 hours or 12 hours. You got to plan your trip accordingly. And the moment you get out there, everybody says, "Oh yeah, what do you think? We're newbies?" And oh, you're not a noob. What do you mean? No, we've done this plenty of times. We got Okay, we get out there to the grounds and then they get sick and you go, move
But
with
yeah,
the
they're
fish
crushing a
inside.
case of beer before the boat even leaves the dock, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's one of those trips." So hold on to his belt; he's going
Yeah.
over.
No, but it's that's funny. I had plenty of stories there, I guess. Still there, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's certainly an interesting thing. That's where I would probably be the worst charter captain ever because any 8-hour trip would easily get turned into 17, 24 hours. Like, it's like, we're not going back until we get them. I've been on swordfish trips already where we go out there and we break 3 off by noon and we were supposed to be back by 5 and we're back by 5 in the morning the next day because it's like, we're not leaving until we get them. We know they're here. They're breaking us off. We have to get them. And more often than not, it's like, yeah, we'll be back by the dock by 5. And it's like, well, we didn't say what day it would be that we'd be back to the dock by 5. And we're rolling in 10:30 at night. We're like, oh, we'll wash the boat tomorrow. That's always the devil speaking because you get back the next day to wash the boat and it's baked in the sun all day and super hard to wash the blood off and it's just terrible. But you're exhausted. You were out in the ocean for 20 hours and the last thing you feel like doing is washing the boat when you come back. So, what piece of gear do you find most critical that you'll never leave the dock without?
A good mate. Yeah, sounds funny, but you can't run that boat without one. Make you or break you, you know. Just finding the right, building the culture, creating a culture. There's some things you just can't teach, and some people have it or they don't. And the people that I seem to attract genuinely care about others. And it's an important factor. Fishy as heck. Yeah, come on. All right. I'll dig it. But having tact, goes a very long way.
Yeah, customer service is a huge aspect, especially when these people are in an unfamiliar situation. They're put in potentially stressful environments and around these people for hours and hours. And having someone that's good with customers, funny, it's tough to find, especially when you look at like the pool of mates in general. We hear a lot of charter captains burn through a lot of different ones for different reasons, and really finding the right one is critical to the success of a charter.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. I got another captain, Mitch Scuba. We call him Scooby, a proven tournament winning captain. He'd been there 30 years. And he'd come fishing with me. He called me on the radio one day. And he said, "Hey, what year is that hat? She's a pretty hat." Talked me up on the radio and come by the marina and said, "I didn't want to say this on the radio, but, I'm going to run your boat. I really want to run your boat." And, after a 2-hour inquisition, he felt like he must have gone through a therapist or something. We ended up getting along we've got completely different styles. And sometimes we've like a little like old ladies maybe, but he's my age and he's been doing this a long time. And I've been, I learn. I'm just like I listen to Nate and paying attention. And some people get stuck in their ways though, they don't want to change and me, I'm like, hey, if it ain't working, switch it up. Don't sit here and sit on this crap. If it ain't working, it ain't getting bit, change it up.
I don't know
You
if
know,
you'd necessarily like my style out on the water. It's kind of like crazy style. You can ask Troy. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It gets nuts out there sometimes, but it's effective.
Yeah. Lots of yelling.
I'm a boat yeller.
Strong communication from Nate. Definitely.
We have a dock talk with new boat riders each day. It's like, hey, there might be some yelling, and by might there will be, but I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling with you. Like I'm cheering you on with encouragement. Just remember that, regardless of what actually comes out, I'm encouraging you to catch this fish, or else you're gonna swim.
I gotta say, Max is probably the calm one. I'm excitable.
But there's nothing calm about my style.
Yeah, I'm excitable when it gets close to the boat and I'm coaching. Back up, go ahead, start backing up, back. And I listen to myself because I've recorded many of these. You're out there trying to get a good shot and a good video for the customer, and I play that back and I hear myself, coaching, and it's loud. It's not, I don't have a soft voice. It's piercing, and it gets to that point where it's like, okay, I'm cracking some kind of decibel here.
Oh, there's a reason most of our videos are on mute and there's music over it. They wouldn't allow it on social media.
I'll edit some parts out when I'm going to send it to a customer. I'm like, oh yeah. It's not like it's a foul language or anything, but I can definitely hear the pitch change in my voice when it's getting serious. And it's those critical moments of, whether you're going to lose that fish or not. I mean, damn it, you get it 5 feet from the boat and you come off the damn hook. No, it's because you're taking it in the prop wash. If you had it on the side of the damn boat, it's not going to pop off that. It's just not going to pop off. Take it out of the wash. Take it out, because I'll always naturally want to keep it in gear to the extent that keep pressure on the fish, because I never know what somebody else is going to do on that rod and reel. Half the time somebody's they're reeling, they're not gaining on the fish, or they're or when the fish is coming at you, coming straight at you, just keep reeling, don't stop reeling. It's like your coach, you can see it, and so you you put some throttle to it and until that line comes tight so they don't lose that fish. So there's a lot of jockeying that goes on, especially when you get a sail that wants to dart up your side, and it's like, okay, here we go. I really love doing it. I love sitting up there controlling the speed and the angle at which we're gonna take this fish aboard.
We're very fortunate to fish most of the time with experienced anglers. So it's like we fish as a crew almost exclusively and with other experienced anglers for the most part. So we all know like the form and functions of everything. So we're not having to clear lines. We're able to work fish in and out of lines and stuff like that. So a lot of times we end up with multiple strikes and stuff like that. But I can certainly see frustrations and my blood pressure boiling just thinking about like inexperienced anglers and stuff stuff like tangling lines and having to clear a 12 line spread to get one mahi
Fish.
mahi into the boat and stuff and stuff like that. So I certainly feel your frustrations with that, but at the same time it comes a huge joy to be able to provide like possibly someone's first time to
Yeah.
catch a mahi mahi or a wahoo or sailfish or tuna or anything like that, especially people on vacation. Do you find that most of your clients are on vacation from other areas, or is it mostly people that are local to Florida that are coming out to you to fish?
No, it's probably more like 70-30. So 70% are on vacation, another 30% find me local.
And do you find any kind of like a pattern on where these people are coming from vacation from? Like, is it a lot of like Center America, or is it a lot of
Yeah.
people like from up north or so forth?
No, Michigan, places like Michigan and Kansas and New Jersey and up north, Virginia. So Kentucky, I mean, yeah, a lot of northern states
Have you had anybody from outside of the United States come on your boat ever?
all the time, all,
What
all the
would be
time.
like some of those
Germany,
areas? Germany?
probably Germany.
Did they tip your mate? Just out of curiosity, did they tip your mate?
Yeah, the
It's a sore
hardest ones.
subject for Troy. He
Yes,
was
it
in
is.
Alaska, and they had a lot of people come from Europe and
They don't
stiff the
tip.
mate.
No, the Europeans don't get it. It's like Brazil. I have the opportunity to work with a bunch of folks from Brazil, but the Brazilian culture, and if you're living off of that 20%, right? That's a huge part of what you're earning. And some cultures just it's not part of their culture. They're uneducated. You know, a lot of times, what I'll do for my customers, if I know it's a corporate gig or something, I'll just include it in the total. That way, nobody's having to think about it. If they give them something extra, great. But at a minimum, oftentimes we'll see 20-40%, and that's really nice to see because the majority of the people that are booking our charter can afford it. They're more affluent, and that's the reality. That's the target market, if you will.
And it's super important to tip your mate. If you're going
Yeah.
on a fishing trip, 20% is standard. More than that is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know Troy was saying many of times in Alaska it was almost exclusively tips. I think he got like a $30 a day stipend just to pay for taxes and stuff. And he was coming back from 12, 14-hour trips, no tips at all. And it was
Cra-
like, oh my gosh.
Craziest thing I got tipped was from a guy in Wisconsin. Gave me a block of cheese. I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Like,
Or
Here's
the
a blunt.
customers that come back and are like, oh, you can just keep the fish. Like, we fish as a job. We don't want to eat any more fish or touch fish or smell like fish or anything. Like if we want to keep fish, we'll keep as much as we want any other time. We're fishing for bait or fun fishing or whatever.
Well, I appreciate you having me on here, and
Yeah, we loved having you on. We'll just give you a couple minutes to tell everyone about your charter, how they can reach out to you, how they can get a hold of you and book you, and what are the best times and seasons and everything like that.
Oh, you're so gracious. I appreciate that. Thank you. SeaSuite Charters is just, C Charlie Suite, like the executive suite, charters.com. SeaSuiteCharters.com. There's a phone number there. You feel free to reach out there. I just get to do this. That's the truth, Nathan. I feel like it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to go fishing every day and help people have an incredible experience. And whether it's myself or Mitch or our mate Max, we've really built a family and a culture that allows people to just relax and unwind and feel like they're well taken care of and feel like they're at home. And then we go fishing. Then we go fishing. It's a wonderful experience. And it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever you want it to be. It could be days on end. I mean, we could go to the Bahamas if you want to. We go up there and it's really, what do you want to experience? And I always say, dare to dream, because I'm living a dream. I get to do this. And I can't think of anything. Is if you imagine your life and you go, okay, well, what would I do if nobody paid me? And then you go, well, what would I do if I had to pay to do it, to live out my life? I'd be paying somebody to do this, to live out my dreams. And you know what? I can't afford to do it that way. So I don't mind helping people the best way that I can. I appreciate your tutelage. You've been my Mr. Miyagi, my go-to for spreads, and helped me get started in a lot of ways here on the East Coast. And I'm grateful and thankful for your friendship and the opportunity to come out here. And you introduced me to some good people, and you're just good people. You and Troy both are. So thank you kindly for having me out.
No problem. The pleasure is ours. Thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed our friendship over the years. I love watching you guys grow and post your videos. Like I said, I haven't seen a person not smiling in one of your videos yet. In every picture, they look happier than the last. And it's just an overall great experience. I know you're a great guy. You're a safe captain to be out there with. You guys have an excellent boat. You're down in a prime area of Florida and just an excellent opportunity for people to get offshore. Whether you're an expert at offshore fishing or you're coming out for the first time, Rick is an awesome guy. He's also one of the only captains I know that's open to doing stuff out of the ordinary. Yes, he fishes out of Port Canaveral, Florida, but he mentioned, you want to go to the Bahamas? Rick will take you to the Bahamas. You want to go fish or yellowfin tuna off the south side of the Bahamas? You know who will do it? Rick. You want to go fish for swordfish or something? Rick will take you to do it. Your dreams are endless, and Rick will make it happen. Just reach out to him, SeaSuiteCharters.com. Great guy, someone that I'm looking forward to fish with soon. Get down there to Florida and see him. I'll be down in your area probably the first week of June. I look forward to meeting up. And thank you again for coming on the show. One last thing, Magic Tail Outfitters. They are the finest tackle in the land. Use
Oh
code
yeah.
Deepwater Legends. One word, all capital letters for 15% off your order of $50 or more. Their stuff cannot catch more fish because it catches all the fish. If you go to a tournament, any of the boats that are winning have their stuff on their boat. If they tell you they don't, they're lying or they're not winning. That stuff
That's
is
the
good.
truth.
The ladies love him. The kids want to be him. The men are jealous of him. Dante is the man. Those guys tear it up in tournaments. Right now, he's down in the Bahamas tearing it up. They're probably going to make new laws about fishing there after he's done. His stuff's so good. If he bought catch flags, Lance would be sold out. If you need catch flags, or if you need this one for a friend, the skunk, go to fishflagsusa.com. Lance has you covered. If you have a funny idea for a new catch flag, reach out to him. Lance LaHoo, he'll make a catch flag with whatever you want on it. He made one the other day that said, like, 300 days a year on the water, best captain in America flag for a guy, and it was hilarious. And I don't know about you, but I can't go offshore without hearing someone yell over the radio, "I'm 300 days on the water." Is that how it is down in Florida right now, Rick?
Yeah, it's a lot of chatter anyway.
It's just nonstop.
Yeah.
Everyone's claiming
a
to
lot
be
of
the
chatter.
best. Now that guy's in jail, there's an opening at the top, baby. Everyone's in the running. So who's going to claim the title as the next best? Maybe you, maybe Troy, maybe me. Who knows? It could be anybody. Maybe you in Wisconsin. And thank you to our overseas viewers. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you to the Middle America people. Thank you to the people on the coast. All of you guys are great. You make this possible. Even if we had 5 viewers, we would still make these videos, whether you like it or not. But it helps that we have a lot. We just crossed 700,000 views on our YouTube channel. A lot of them are YouTube shorts. And we keep growing. We're hoping around 1 million in the next week or two. That'll be great. We're going to get champagne. We're going to get our Grundens on, spray each other, probably in Troy's house so he's clean it up.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a fun time. But thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, Rick, for coming on. SeaSuite Charters, reach out to him if you're in Florida and you need a fishing trip. If you're not in Florida and you need a fishing trip, still reach out to him because you need to get to Florida to go fish with this guy. He's a fishy guy. He's a great guy. His boat is excellent. He'll get you sushi. He'll make you food. He'll do whatever you need on the boat. If you don't like fishing, still reach out to him. He'll take you for boat rides. If you hate boats, still reach out to him. He'll do something for you. He's a great guy. Thank you for tuning into Deepwater Legends. Have a great night, guys, or a day, or whatever time of day or night you're listening to this. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe.
Peace out, boys.